Peace to the planet. Peace to the mother planet. Can we curse?
We can curse.
Peace to the motherfucking planet.
What's happening, everybody?
I cut my way out. We here.
Absolutely.
Finally. And without further ado, I am at Kenneth Jinx on all social media platforms, mainly IG and Twitter, Facebook. We good on Facebook, but if you need to find me, that's where I'm at, and I'm joined by my brother, long time friend, and my barber.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. I'm Ashra Knox on Facebook. On IG, _beardculture4 and at _Knox the barber 4 as well. So if you need to get up with me, that's where you can catch me at.
So again, the I Cut My Way Out podcast. This is episode 1. We're not going to really number these going forward, but this is our first episode. Me and my brother Ash, we was he just called me out the blue and just had an idea. I dibbed and dabbed in podcasting, myself, and the one I'm currently doing is on a hiatus. So I mean, just to get behind these mics, put these headphones on, I was thrilled and just excited.
Step in the booth.
Right. I wish I had flow, but it just feels good to be back behind the mics and, very important. I'll say very, what's the word I'm looking for?
I think it's imperative.
Yeah. Just stepping back in and really just making it happen. And, we're going to explain further. This is, Ash been a full-time barber, going real hard for a little over a year, but probably been cutting for about 30 years, if not longer. But we're going to celebrate the barbers. I mean, this is his grind. And
the industry as
the industry. Yeah.
The industry as a whole.
So, yeah, we got these first episode jitters, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be the B, Mike, going forward, because you can't celebrate the barber culture and the barber industry and have the barber be the B, Mike. So, but today, basically what we want to do is just introduce ourselves, introduce our vision, and just get into a little conversation about your journey, how you got here, things that's inspired you, motivated you, the future.
Right.
So before we get to that, we have an IG page. Cut my way out _pod. That's the IG page.
Right. Follow us, support us, give us some love. We're doing it for the culture of the barbering industry.
Yeah, thanks for everybody that's done followed and reached out. It's all about you all. I mean, the people that follow, the people that has definitely helped launch the IG page and will help launch the post. We gonna be in touch. We love to hear from you. We love to hear your stories and just push the culture forward. Like I said, I'm a member of the culture, even though I got a baldy right now, but my beard is I still got to make trips to the barbershop because I do got a beard. So, and I have children. So, I'm a part of it too. So,
right. And we're all a part of it, even barbers. Without clients, there are no barbers. So it all goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So
all goes hand in hand.
So I would like to just touch on our journey. I mean, our intentions and the vision.
Absolutely.
And so the vision of I Cut My Way Out the podcast is to really just inform, entertain,
Right.
and just have you and myself network.
Right. With multiple barbers, and I call it all the ALs. We want to be educational, we want to be inspirational, and motivational.
Okay.
You know, we want to provide that to our audience, and you know, the made barbers, the up and coming barbers, and just those that have an interest in barbering, because you know, I learned more with this pandemic. You know, man, we service everybody. You know, the world doesn't go forward without us, and I say that humbly, but seriously. You know, it was a time that, you know, during these, you know, last 6 months, we almost pushing, you know, on a year that, you know, things were taken back, things were put at a standstill, and something that's probably looked over oftentimes, right, is now understood. It's you know, everybody understands the importance and the need. You know, you usually go to the barbershop, you hit your barber, you get a cut, you do it like clockwork. You might do it every week, every 2 weeks, but you know, when everything came to a standstill, said, man, everything isn't promised. But with that being said, it did prove to be foolproof as well. You know, and so this is an industry and a career that's here to stay. Machines can't replace us. You know, and so we're important to the everyday world, all around the world.
Yeah, bombs on that. I mean, I saw a bunch of y'all, you know, myself included. You know, patch here, you know. So yeah, you know,
it was rough.
It was rough.
Right.
So
just to expound on the vision, right? You know, for the audience, the thought of I Cut My Way Out was inspired by a song with Nas, Dave East, and what's his name, Luis Miranda, the guy with Hamilton, which is a talented brother as well. And so it just resonated in my soul, because there have been so many ups and downs throughout my life trying to find my purpose, even though I've cut for, you know, quite some time. But in the last year and a half, really understanding my purpose and, you know, God's reason for having me here and what I do well. And what I have a passion for doing, it just resonated with me. And I felt like, you know, all the things I've been through, God allowed me, you know, to cut my way out of some situations and find myself and understand my purpose. And so when I called you, it was something that I wanted to talk to you about before, but I think timing is everything, you know, and really couldn't figure out the direction, what I wanted to call it, what its purpose would be. But we're here to provide another platform. You know, barbering has went to a whole new level, a whole nother level that, you know, people before wouldn't have even imagined it going to. So the evolution of barbering, we got some brothers and sisters out here, you know, doing some great things in the industry, and we want to celebrate that, give them a chance to tell their stories, how they cut their way out, and give them an opportunity to, you know, inspire. That for me, watching a lot of these barbers on IG and, you know, on social media platforms, going to Brown & Brothers, you know, a year ago, it just put a battery in my back. Even though a lot of them are younger than I am, it just inspired me and made me want to go harder and do some different things. And so I appreciate that. And so this is just our way of giving back, because even though you're not a barber, you know, we've been hanging and doing our thing for, you know, 25 plus years. And at the same time, you know, always into fashion and just culturally, you know, nothing, you know, the haircut is everything. You can't get a fresh pair of J's and, you know, gear and not have your hair right. So it all goes hand in hand. And we just want to provide another platform and allow, you know, those in the industry to tell their story. So I think that's important.
Yeah, that's what's up. only you could convey that eloquently. Before we get on to before we move forward in our conversation, you know, we're here in Central Illinois, Champaign, Illinois.
University of Illinois, Lovie Smith.
Yeah. So
for some of you who don't know,
right. So
even though you're a Michigan fan,
yeah, you know, go blue. But I think this segment is important because we like to dedicate our first episode to, you know, a friend, a barber,
a brother,
just
friend.
Yeah, just somebody that we feel like, we both feel like, just in prepping for this episode, that would have definitely thrived in as he got older, as social media kind of, you know, evolved.
Took its course, right.
So I don't know if we're gonna do a moment of silence. I ain't with that, but we just gonna recognize him. Antonio Manuel Turner, also known as Miel, Yak, you know, he had a bunch of nicknames, but
legendary barber that was actually before his time. You know, I believe that, you know, there are classes of not only barbers, but in everything. And, you know, there are some decent barbers, there are some good barbers, and there are some great barbers. And I think those great barbers are the ones that God just sprinkled them and said, this is what you're supposed to be here to do. Right. And, you know, it just came natural to him, and he was before his time. And unfortunately, you know, he passed away at the age of 32. You know, he's been gone for 12 years now, as of September 2nd of this year. And, you know, it was hurtful. And just to imagine, you know, where he would be in the industry, because he was on a level that some of these great barbers, male and female, are on. And he was far before his time, but he was, you know, before social media, and didn't get a chance to, you know, have everything come together, nor did he really even understand his gift and his potential. And I think that comes for a lot of people, you know, in time as you mature. And so we definitely want to give a shout out to him. You know, he was one of my inspirations for doing this barber. And I just got a quick story, and it was kind of funny. And so we were together, and he had an argument with his son's mother. And so they're going back and forth, you know, and I had, you know, kids at this time too. And so they got into an argument. She threatened, you know, I'm gonna put you on child support. He said, put me on child support then. So he hung up in her face and said, man, what are you doing? He said, look, man. He said, she's going to get more money from me than she going to get from the courts. They don't know what I make. I claim what I make. I looked at him like, damn, maybe I need to start barbering. And so, you know, so that was an inspirational time, because it you know, in something that was, you know, kind of crazy, you know, a disagreement. For me, it provided some clarity to say, man, this is an industry that you can do it your own way. You know, people don't have handcuffs on you. And you know, it hit me then, but it really didn't register and take hold until years later. So, you know, I just want to put my love out there to him. R.I.P. Miel. We miss you. And you know, you're inspirational. We're going to keep moving forward.
Yeah, we definitely had Miel in mind, just prepping for this first episode. Right. And I mean, it just, we couldn't do it here in the pain and not give a shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, whatever you want to call him.
Absolutely.
And this might be, you know, this might not, I'm gonna say it, but I mean, for the people that's out there, you know, no, he did not get, you know, taken,
right.
You know, by, you know, street,
yeah,
you know, street shit, you know, so right. It still hurts. It
right.
don't, but you know, yeah. This guy had a lot of love. I mean, when you say, man, it got to be something wrong with somebody else if they want to take that, and so for Miel to not be here, and no, it wasn't like that. He was
Right.
university loved, and
Absolutely.
and you know,
Absolutely.
he had a
like many barbers are.
yeah.
I mean, he was a legend. You know, he passed at 32. You know, from health causes, but he you know, I mean, at 32 years old, he was a legend.
Yeah. So
And you know, we don't live in a big community, but it's a lot to say. You know, that's you know, that's big for somebody who at that age, you know, had no idea what his potential was. And I just hate, you know, that he didn't get to, you know, continue forward.
yeah.
But,
So
you know, things happen for a reason.
yeah. So all love and you know, definitely wanted to, you know, touch on that. So
Absolutely.
we'll definitely move along. So, hey, Knox beer culture. I mean, beer culture. We wearing these beer cultures for our YouTube viewership, and it's funny because this wasn't planned.
Not at all.
You know, he got all colors. I only got one, but he came out with the blue. So, when the universe working, it's just working.
Absolutely.
So, you know, but this gonna be a different episode. We'll touch on it, but
Right.
you know, it's gonna be a different episode. So
Right.
stay tuned.
Right. More to come.
Yeah, but I've been around for a while.
Right.
We met in 6th, 7th grade. As a matter of fact, we played against each other. You played for King School. I played for Leo School. I didn't know you.
Right.
Uh,
Park District basketball.
Park District basketball. Y'all beat the shit out of us. 71-40, I think was the final score. I think I had like 8
Look,
points.
you remember.
You know, but I think we kind of just, you know, of course, man, we black, you know, sports and just
Right.
things just kind of
Transferred from
Yeah.
from one school district to the other. So, you know, came from crosstown rivals and, you know, kicked it off, 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
So we've been rocking for a long time.
So yeah, so even then you could cut and you would cut a little bit.
Right.
You know, I know you cut my hair at the house sometimes, you know, so let's just take it from the beginning.
Okay.
You know, talk about when you picked up the Clippers and
Okay. So my first time picking up the Clippers was probably between 9 and 11. And so it is funny because I had an uncle who was a barber here in the community for a long time. So there would be times that I would go to the barber shop, and that gained my interest just in the world of barbering. The barber shop, it being the men's country club, the black men's country club. You know, I was able to observe, pick up on things. You know, they were considered to be, you know, older guys at that time, you know, in terms of, you know, our age. And so that was my first time really being around it. So when, you know, and that's on my father's side. So when my mother couldn't get me to the shop, then, you know, I picked up a pair of clippers and was in need because, again, we all want to, you know, stay fresh. We want to look a certain way. And so through just my uncle and watching him and the guys, you know, shout out to Leroy Knox Sr. and, you know, Joe Taylor and Lum Rose, legendary barbers. You know, one is still with us, Joe Taylor. But, you know, in our community for our age range, they set the tone. And so that's kind of how I got into it, you know, watching them and really didn't have an idea. So, you know, I appreciate you allowing me to practice our boy Derek Thompson as well. And, you know, didn't know what I was doing, but knew that, hey, you know, my hair looked a hot mess and, you know, I needed to do something to it. And so that was the beginning of me just having interest in cutting hair and, you know, in our cultures and our communities, no different, you know, than other, you know, small places, big cities, whatever. We want to stay fresh and getting your hair cut, you know, that's culturally, you know, that's big for us, you know, and so that started at a very early age, just wanting to stay fresh and having that interest. So that was pretty much where it all began. Now, the road took a lot of twists and turns to get to where I'm at now. And, that's why I believe I cut my way out. But I did gain barbering, the interest at an early age. But funny, because I never knew that it would come back to play the part that it plays in my life today.
All right. So let's talk about the playing the part that it plays today. So it definitely, like, I witnessed it firsthand. It definitely, I would say from 19, 20, it may not have been your primary means,
Right.
but it was always something that
Right.
you would make sure that you was doing.
Absolutely. And so it was kind of interesting because, you talk about us playing ball at an early age. And unfortunately, like many African American, urban disenfranchised areas, we're not exposed to a lot, right? So sports was our thing, and so, like everybody else, I grew up within the neighborhood. I wanted to be a professional athlete, and that was my goal. And so even though I started picking up the Clippers at an early age, it took a back seat to me wanting to be a basketball player. Now, with that said, I had children. As you know, I had children earlier than a lot of people. So by my senior year,
Yeah. So if you're an athlete and you have children early, you might have been okay as an athlete. Not trying to take nothing away from my guy, not saying that he didn't have a nice personality, wasn't, not handsome, but he must have been all right. You know what I'm saying? If Shouties was out there putting out,
Right.
but no, I'm just fucking with you.
For what it was, I was a pretty good basketball player for the area. But it hit me early. I spent so much time wanting to be an athlete, and then it hit me. I have a child. Then as soon as I graduated, I had another one right behind that, and I realized, man, I'm 5'8", 5'9". I don't jump out the gym. My strengths was, I was small, I was quick, and I was aggressive. But really in the thick of things, I wasn't. No major Division I player. I wasn't an NBA level player. Should I have played college basketball somewhere? Without a doubt. But again, God has plans, right? So, with that being said, I was lost. Really didn't have a direction. Didn't know what it was that I wanted to do. Unfortunately, got into some things. Never been a street cat per se, but for some time, ate off the streets. My family benefited off that. My wife, my kids, unfortunately, and that's part of my, past that I'm not necessarily happy about. But at the same time, when you have kids, I'll do anything to feed my kids. But the interesting part where things started to take a turn was when we talk about Miel, and then another instrumental person in my life in terms of barbering was Timothy Muhammad. We call him Brother Timothy. On your other podcast, that's one half of your podcast. So
Right.
He was a barber, and I stick my chest out when I say, during the time I was getting my hair cut, two of the coldest in the town were cutting my hair. And so he was another inspiration, but he did it, he did it a little differently. He did it. He had, a spot at his house. He had a duplex, and he had one side of the duplex was just his barbershop, and he ran it. He did appointments only, and I was able to see the structure, the professionalism, which was different than the shops that Miel was in, right? And so never forget one day, kind of floating by the seat of my pants, really not knowing what I wanted to do, but here it is. I got few kids. Matter of fact, I got 3 kids by now. Well, forward with the stepson, right? At a very young age. And I'll never forget Brother Timothy telling me, gave me the number to the barber college. He had never seen me cut. We had talked, gave me the number to the barber college in Peoria, Illinois. Called, took a visit to the barber college. And that was the best investment that I had ever made with bad money. Right to this very day, it was the best investment that I had ever made with bad money, and so went to barber college, went 9 months to a year. For those who have no idea, we're in Champaign, which is a smaller community. I mean, not super small; it's growing over.
I call it a big town, small city.
Absolutely. And it's grown. So at that time, just to those in the barbering community, we still at this point don't even have a barber school. So it forced me to travel Peoria, hour and a half.
Miles, 90 miles.
So 90 miles one way.
Yep.
Every day, Tuesday through Saturday for almost a year. Just being dedicated, knew I had to do something different with my life. And so I did that. Once I finished, I didn't have that self-esteem. I didn't think like I was just that dude, right, with the clippers. So I still cut. I cut from home, but I went on to work at the local school districts. I coached basketball, which was my passion as well. And I did the coaching for 11 years, and I did the working in the local school districts for a total of 20 years. And so, but during that time, interestingly, I got angry with some of the things that were going on, being in a lesser position in the school district. And I ended up taking my state board. I passed it, which was actually about 3 or 4 years after I had actually went to barber school. So it was on the very end, in regards to the time I had to take before I would have to go back to school.
So hold your thought. Okay. So when you finish the academic part and the on floor part.
The hands on and the academic part.
So once you leave from barber school, you have 3 years?
So at that time, it was, I believe, 4 years.
Okay, 4 years
from the date of your testing out, your examination at the school. You test out. Then once you register, and unlike a lot of other states, for us, you don't have. Like I know I was just in Georgia, and shout out to Yusuf Barber. He was cutting my hair, and we were talking, and they have a setup where someone can cut under your license. So you bring them on and kind of have a brain freeze. I forget the terminology, but they're able to cut under your license, and as long as they're getting that hands-on work and they're learning, then they can go take the test. Well, for us here in Illinois, we don't have that option. And so it was just kind of sitting idle. So you have that time to go back. And so I started to realize, like, hey, I'm in a teacher's aide position. I'm not making any money. I got all these kids, man, something has to give. Right. So I went back, took my test, jumped into it, but still didn't have the confidence. So I didn't jump all the way in. With that said, I still had the motivation. I went back and, got my degree. So that's another milestone
So you went to college as well?
I went to college as well. I went to college as well. I first graduated high school, went to UAPB, University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff. Big up to HBCUs. Went there for a short period of time, came back because I had 2 children at the time. But like I said, I really didn't, lack of exposure. I really didn't know what it was that I wanted to do. And where we're at, many of us don't just make it out of here and become super successful, due to a number of things. And so I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So now here it is. I'm chasing the degree. I said, okay, this degree is going to make my life better. And it did on one hand, because it taught me a lot. One, I went back and, all the things that I was lacking to be focused, I had to get back in tune with: the perseverance, the time management, being focused, multitasking, meeting deadlines, communication, all these things that are important in everyday life, right? And so I'm getting these at an early age, and I'm more mature than the average college student. So I get in there, I knock that out. I did a total of 3 semesters and 2 summer classes, and knocked everything out. 32 classes, straight A's. Never thought that was something that I would do. Coming up, being a ball player, never wanted to be a student athlete. I just wanted to be an athlete.
He glossed over that. 32 A's. 32 A's.
I appreciate it.
32 A's.
32 A's. And it was maturity, because, I don't feel like I'm the brightest light bulb in the room, but when you're focused and you want to do something, put your mind to it, we could do anything. So went ahead and got the degree. Turned around a few months later, got my first job that required a degree right after that. Moved in the school system, moved into administration. And it was good experience, but it taught me a valuable lesson. And from that point, I never, I did that for 5, almost 6 years. I moved from assistant director to director. I was over a program. I was managing, upwards of 65, 70 people. I had a lot of work on my back, but for the first time, I started to realize, you're not getting paid your worth, and so that was the first time I had to look eye to eye with myself. It brought out a lot of stress. It brought out some mental health issues. I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, some things that I keep close to me that not everybody knows, and that, I'm revealing openly for the first time. You know what I mean? Went through to some counseling, really didn't feel that. Maybe I was just too prideful. But during this whole time, my wife is telling me, she said she printed up these pieces of paper and she put them in laminate. And she put one in my office at work. She put them at the house, and it said, "Jump, God's got you." And, I wanted to. She said, "Look, you're cutting every day," because every day my schedule consisted of working a full day, coming home, getting out my clothes. I have a shop built off my garage, go cut hair. So I was still in tune with the barber, and it's always been a big part of me. And it was also helping to feed my family. And it was very, very, very instrumental. I just didn't have the confidence at that point that it could feed my family totally, right? So I ended up, after a while, I just, I had a meeting with my employers. Felt I was worth more. They didn't agree at the time. And it's one of those things that, people say you have to know your worth. And so it took a lot for me. And it's crazy how, quote unquote, corporate America does you, right? Because I literally had to wean myself off of a salary, off somebody else's salary. And it's crazy, you know what I mean? Because we go through life thinking that we go to school, we go get a degree to work for somebody else. But how did people become bosses and owners? They had to think outside of the box. So I had to wean myself. I left my position in the school district. I went into an HR position. I did that for 6 months, took a $20,000 pay cut to do it. Went from there 6 months. Didn't like that situation, still having some issues, anxiety, those mental health issues. Jumped all the way back down. Now imagine going from being an administrator, having a salary, being over 65 plus people. Now you done weaned yourself all the way down, HR, all the way to a hall monitor, which is going back to a TA, a teacher's assistant, making $14 an hour. So now you have people looking at you like, what are you doing? But for me, I knew what the plan was because I was still cutting hair. And so that summer I had started cutting in Rose and Taylor, the legendary barbershop, the shop that my uncle cut in. I ended up cutting in there. My son cut in there, right? So I started doing that part-time in the summer, and it started picking up. I'd never had Instagram. I had Facebook, but I didn't post much. I never posted my work because I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew. Once I started using that platform, I came back as a hall monitor at the beginning of 2019 in August, but I had told them I'm coming back, but I have a trip planned to Bronner Brothers Hair Show in Atlanta, Georgia, and no matter what the repercussions were, I was not willing to miss it. I'd been barbering all these years, had heard about it, never went. Now I'm part of a shop. Me and another of my barber brothers went. Man, it opened my eyes. I met some people. It put a battery in my back. I got gems and jewels. And I created something for myself, and I started to know my worth. And within less than a year, here it is that I'm making more money than I'm making working for somebody else. I started an apparel company, Beard Culture Apparel and Products. Started to do my own thing. And some people would say, man, you were making a good salary. Like there was an instance, man, I had a supervisor, and I won't call any names, but I had a supervisor. And
I'm just fucking with you.
It was a brother.
Yeah, I'm fucking with you.
He had took over, and he's coming in, and it was so crazy because this is corporate America. I was cutting his brother's hair. And once he was on to the fact that he had an opportunity to get the job where he would be my supervisor. And notice how I say supervisor. I don't believe in the word boss. Nobody's my boss. You can supervise me, but I do what the hell I want to do. You know what I mean? And I stand on that strong. And through this journey, that's what I found out about myself. I'm my own boss. I make the decision. Me and Mrs. Knox makes the decision. Nobody else is my damn boss. And it'll be that way from that point going forward. But I went to this brother, and we were cool. I was cutting his hair. When he found out that he could get this job, he texted me, and he was like, man, I think we're going to have to, cut off our relationship. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? My wife see this, she might think, you know what I'm saying, I'm on the down low. It's like, what the hell is this? Like, what bro? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, so...
Damn.
I made him explain himself. So basically he said the fact that he could be my supervisor, that he didn't think it was in his best interest to be my client. Now, out of all the things I'm going through, now this is another brother, look just like me and you. So I see it. I say, damn. I say, okay. I see what it is. So now we went from being cool. Our kids played football together. He was a client. Now he's my supervisor. Totally switched because now he's running a sprint for himself, and it's all about him. So I went to him and I said, look, man, these are all the things I'm doing. Gave him a list. I said, man, I'm worth more. He said, man, how many brothers in this community could say that they make the salary you make and work Monday through Friday, don't have to work overtime, and can dress in khakis? I said, hold on, man, you missing the point. This ain't about brothers. I'm in the workforce, so I'm not just competing against brothers. And again, it was an issue with me knowing my worth. And so it just got to a point that, man, I kept looking at the signs. My wife put up, jumping, God's got you. And once I weaned myself off, as crazy as it may sound, man, I weaned myself off. I jumped in that barbershop. I went to Bronner Brothers, man, learned some jewels, met some good brothers in the industry, man. And even though a lot of these guys that I was older than, they provided inspiration. You know what I mean? And that's what I was looking for. I'm a motivated individual, but, I draw off inspiration, and they gave me that inspiration. And I start seeing some of these guys and not even comparing, because I don't think it's a need to compare what levels of barbering, but I said, man, I belong in this industry and I know that I'm good enough to be here and stay here. And, you know, over that time, I've continued to make a name because it was kind of tough for a while because cats was looking at me, oh, you cutting hair now? You a hooper. What you doing with what you doing with clippers?
That's champagne for you.
You know, and you know, and so I would always question myself, ask my wife, you think I'm good enough? She's like, dude, like for real? You know, and so, man, once I got to that space, started using, you know, Los the barber. Big shout out to Los the barber.
Shout out Los, yeah.
You know, because he was one of the brothers, and him and you know, Big Wayne told me, you know, shout out to Wayne Turner. It was like, man, look, use your gift, and God will make a way for you. You know, and I never forget. First Wayne telling me, then Los telling me. And I was down in the dumps. I didn't know which way to turn. I would have sleepless nights, bro. I didn't know which way to turn, man. But I knew that I couldn't work in that environment for much longer. I had a health scare. You know, health started to diminish, man. And so I dealt with a whole lot of things that took me some time to come up out of. So when I say I cut my way out, I mean that literally.
Hey.
You know what I mean? I mean that literally. And so I want to provide that inspiration for others in this platform, not only for made guys. And I hope we're in a situation where, you know, the barbers appreciate what we're doing and not be too big, you know what I'm saying, to come on our platform and inspire others. Because without clients and without up and coming barbers, we don't have an industry. You know what I mean? So for me, you know, my son is a barber. He's up and coming. You know what I mean? Trying to get him right, trying to get him to see his purpose, because he's one of those guys that God just sprinkled it. I worked hard. God sprinkled it on him. But sometimes when it comes easy, you know, easy come, easy go type attitude. But, you know, in a literal sense, man, I cut my way out. It's provided financially. I cut my way out of depression. You know, I still deal with anxiety to some degree, but nothing like I did before. And it taught me to know my own worth. And I told my wife, my goal is never to work for another individual again. So, you know, I was thinking about this podcast and this platform. You were the perfect, you know, person to do it with, you know, your background, but also we came up, you know, we look at guys and the first thing people watch, the first thing we look, your haircuts and your gear and your shoes. You know what I mean? That's what it was. So when I reached out to you, I knew that you would be, you know what I'm saying, that part, you know what I'm saying, that we can run neck and neck as a team, because even though you're not a barber, you understand the culture and you came up in it and you've been a part of it. You know what I mean? Just rocking the 360s and, you know what I'm saying? And you know, the 360s, the whole thing. I look at Jalen's hair now, you know, and shout out to Andy Authentic, because, you know, he on top of his game, because Jalen got some of the illest cuts in the game. Yeah. And I mean, Hawk was getting him right too, you know, but just, you know, even when he was rocking the high ball fade with the part down the middle, like we were watching and we were noticing those and we were mimicking, you know, those haircuts. And so the industry has been big to us, man. And so we're going to keep pushing it forward, man. And you know, you know, they can jump on now, jump on later, but we're going to make this thing happen, because this is a platform that needs to be had, you know?
So that was awesome. That was a lot. I appreciate. I think the culture is going to appreciate your transparency and vulnerability. Right, you know what I'm saying? And I think when people listen to this first episode and your story, I mean, I was kind of had a front row seat to a lot of it, but even some of the stuff I just let you rock, you know. So now I just want to talk about you know, it was I don't know what it was, but you know, when you said, I gotta go back to, you know, work, you know, this one you was, and it was just, I knew, just knowing you, like, correct me if I'm wrong, you was going to try to give them like another year, right? Or was it?
Yeah.
You was
Yeah.
going to try to give
Yeah.
him another
Yeah.
year?
Yeah.
And you gave him what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was, and interesting, but it was one of those things like in a small community, like, I went and I sat down with him, right, the year before, and I said, look, I did my research, and my supervisor, and we love her to death. We had some issues on the back end, but love her to death. She told me out the gate, she said, negotiate on the front end because they'll never pay you what you're worth on the back end. So you have to get it now. I go into a meeting and I'm dealing with a health issue. They think that they misdiagnosed me and told me that I had cancer. So now I'm in a situation that I don't feel like I can fight because I need health insurance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can't fight for my worth because I told my wife before that, I said, if they're not giving me what I want, I'm not going to take the job. But now I'm in a situation, but I believe it was for a reason. And it tested me in so many ways. So now that time is coming around when we're going through negotiations as an entire school district, but also I'd hit the head of HR, said, hey, man, you told me to hit you, keep this on your plate. So the possibility of me getting another $10,000, it was very likely, right? But now the issue there is if they give me another $10,000, $15,000, I'm stuck for another 5 years because you're not going to let that kind of money go, especially in a small town. I mean, now we're talking about good money in a big city, right? Yeah. So I knew that I would be stuck and I no longer enjoyed it. It was stressful, and my supervisor had told me, the guy I told, man, you could do this for 20 more years, get them, raises and eat like a fat rat. And I said to myself, man, I went back in my office and I sat in front of that desk in that chair. I said, man, if I stay here another 20 years or even have it in my mind that I'm going to be here another 20 years, I won't live another 20 years.
Damn.
It was that type of stress.
Shit.
You know what I mean?
Damn.
When I start going to the barbershop, I'm getting out the bed. My wife like, man, this is the first time I've ever seen you get up in the morning, go somewhere and not have a problem with being there.
That's where I was going when I said you only lasted 2 weeks or something, because that was going to be my transition.
So I went back. So you're talking about in terms of the hall money.
Yeah.
I went back. So now I'm sitting there and people are hitting me for haircuts. They hit me for beard culture apparel. I'm trying to juggle being at an 8-hour job making $14 an hour, and it was a no-brainer. And they were good people, you know what I mean? But I told them, man, you know what I mean? And when doors open, man, you don't know how long, and windows open, you don't know how long them things gonna be open. So I had to go.
Right. It's like, yeah, when somebody calling for the merch,
I gotta go.
I'm getting $30, $20, $30.
I got to go. And I told my wife even before this, I said, you know what? I'd rather sell $30,000 in apparel a year than work for somebody for $60,000 or $70,000 a year, because I understand my worth. And it took a very, very, very long time. But what we do is we allow people to juggle our worth over our head, because most of the time we don't identify with a passion we're not exposed to. We're chasing the same thing everywhere. Everybody wants to be a football player. Everybody wants to be a basketball player, but low probability. Those are numbers game.
Right.
Man, everybody, man, it's, we have a shortage of barbers in our community. And I can honestly say, and as humbly as I can say it, I eat well. I work hard, but I eat well. Real talk.
We shout out to Funk Flex. I think the bombs.
Right.
We're gonna pay homage all over the board. Definitely gotta have the bombs.
You did?
So last thing about corporate America before we really get into barbering, we're 50 minutes in. So So when you said this is it, and you told the superiors, I got my air quotes. Mm-hmm. This is it. I'm out of here. Like, forget even what they tried. Just how good did that feel when you were just like this? Whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's how good did it? Can you describe in words?
No, I really can't. It was so empowering because now, it's like I took my life back. You letting somebody control you and they're giving you a check. And so because you have to feed your family, you'll go to any length to do what you have to do for your family. And understandably, and I did. But to the point where, I'm bringing it home with me every day. My health, is suffering. My mental health is suffering at the hands of somebody else. You know what I mean? So when, it was a sigh of relief, but I had already start inching my way into the barbershop. So I'm getting into it now and open myself up. I'm posting on social media. And man, social media, I've only had an IG page for a little over a year. You know what I mean? Because my wife, I'm like, well, I'm going to put work out there and I can't take on more clients because I'm working a full-time job. I can only work for so many hours. Man, my sons came and sat down with me, man. Open that IG page, man. I start posting, and I'm getting better. It's still a work in progress, in terms of my pictures were bogus, the lighting was bogus, but man, the quality was there. You know what I mean? And if anybody, I'm not the coldest barber in the world, but I know you sit in my chair, you're gonna leave there satisfied. You know what I mean? And so again, I pull off other guys in the industry, other women in the industry. I'm just watching and I'm like, man. And so you create that. And it was so different going to Bronner Brothers than it was being in Champaign. And we got to do a better job in Champaign in the industry. We have to have more camaraderie. Because when I went there, man, I've gotten love on a whole nother level. People that I met just one time that's willing to go out for me and support me. And I do the same for them. You know what I mean? And so some of these people, have big names in the industry, could have shrugged me off, and I greatly appreciate it. And I'm gonna pay it forward. And when got that camaraderie and, start posting, people seeing it. Now, man, my book is off the chain. It's really overwhelming to where now looking at some other things in place and growing. That's what's in store. Barbering has been good to me. I really feel like to some degree, barbering saved my life, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like real talk.
I can hear it.
Like real talk.
I imagine our listeners will be able to hear it. Yeah.
Like real talk.
So let's get into. You said that you barbered. Mm-hmm. In some shops, and then you've barbered, at the house. You've always had those dynamics in play. Right. Like I said, this is a smaller community. So us being guys, just having those conversations, right. Can you just kind of distinguish the two? And as far as, we know, like in a barber shop, you have to, pay booth rent and things of that nature. And you've actually went to the shop after, really being able to just pocket everything. Yeah. And so just talk
solo
about,
dolo.
Yeah. So right. Just talk about, your mentality and some of those decisions you've made when you went to the shop. And then, mm-hmm. of course, just in our town with COVID and I don't want to get too into, mm-hmm. The particulars of the shop at this moment. Mm-hmm. But just basically, I'm saying a whole lot to say, talk about the shop versus cutting out your career.
So in this town, I can't speak for other life for myself. I've always had a spot at home because for a long time I did it part-time. But when COVID hit, it was imperative, and it let me know that's something that I always had is an alternate spot. You know what I mean? The goal is to own my own barbershop like many and, trying to put some things in play, but to always have your own. That's number one. Excuse me. Being at home, you didn't have to mesh with anybody. You didn't have to do it by anybody else's rules. You pocketed all the money. You know what I mean? And so those were benefits. But when you're at your house, that's your sanctuary. So you limit yourself. So clients I'm inviting to the house are people that I'm cool with and people that I trust, right? People that I can always have a trail back to. And so that was the difference. When I got ready to go into the barbershop, because I was just ready to do something different, because when you're behind them four walls and you have your clients and, before COVID, we might have, 3 people there and we're talking and laughing. I got the TV. It's set up just like a shop, just a smaller, smaller square footage, right? But once I got into the shop, it allowed me to grow. Because one thing is that when you're elbow to elbow with guys, it's a friendly competition. It's pushing you to be better. So like I told my son, is a beast with straight hair, self-taught. That wasn't my strong suit, because when I went to school, it was really in the hood. So we didn't have straight hair that came through very often. So my son really taught me, how to approach it, Los. And so just learning a little from here, you know what I mean? And it being a friendly competition, because I'm an athlete, by nature. That's who I've been for a long period of time. So that part of me is there, right? But at the same time, learning. I'm humble. So all the things that I learned in work environments where I feel, it's a good number of barbers who don't learn that because they start off cutting and that's their path. When you're in quote unquote corporate America, you learn certain things because you have to follow someone else's rules. So with those two being combined, coming out into the public side, now I have apparel, I have a beard butter product. All these things are available to the mass of people where I'm holding that back. And so the first thing that happened was my income shot up. You know what I mean? And I just start going harder. I'm there every day, second one in the shop, oftentimes second to last one to leave. Every single day I'm going hard. And so really, I was able to bring that out. I'm like, okay, if I can go work 8-9 hours a day for somebody else, come home, cut 3, 4, 5 hours a day. Now, if I can combine that all for me and us, if I can give them that type of time for me, then I can go twice as hard for myself. So I just opened myself up to the community. And then when I start posting, I got people like, oh, okay, man, he get out. He cool with it. You know what I mean? And so it just increased everything. It increased my self-esteem. You know what I mean? Now I'm getting out the camaraderie. You got the old guys. Like it's crazy because, man, I had a client prior to COVID, 93-year-old man. And he would come in every 2 weeks. He'd never make an appointment because that wasn't his thing. So if I got somebody in the chair, he'd wait, but I always made sure that I squeezed him in. All he got was a hot towel shake. But I found out he used to run with my grandfather. You know what I mean? And so he didn't know me. I didn't know him. You know what I'm saying? And we began to get a relationship, hot towel shake, but you just open yourself up to so much more. When you're behind closed doors, you limit yourself to opportunities outside of that. And so that's the biggest difference that I find. There's some pros and some cons to both sides.
For sure.
So,
I agree. Let me hit my notes.
Yes.
So, I mean, we done talked about I want to talk about just being here in Champaign.
Okay.
Like, I really don't want to shit on the town.
Okay. Yeah.
But
and I'm gonna be honest and show love to us at the same time.
Yeah. So I noticed growth. Mm-hmm. I noticed just like me personally as a cousin, I enjoyed coming to the shop. You know what I'm saying? Like I enjoyed coming to the shop, and as children, you know, one with special needs, I think it was definitely fitting
Absolutely.
that he got the barbershop experience.
Allow some growth, some learning.
Yeah. So, and I'm actually proud of, you know, he was him. You know, he definitely was him.
And he was accepted by the shop as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So shout out to all the barbers and you know, the ones that knew, even the ones that didn't.
Right.
You know, I most certainly will, you know, pound the table and say, no, they it was definitely a good experience for us. You know, pre-COVID. I do have a question. You know, because your barber is like, you know, and I'll say pause right now. Your barber is like your broad. You know, my wife is gonna kill me when, you know, she hates when I use that term. But your barber is like your lady. You know what I'm saying? You know, your confidant, your therapist, like you said, like it just was inevitable that, you know, Mr. 93 was, you know, gonna share a few things, you know, of his past, and then that's. But so can you? I mean, I'd imagine you've, you know, I don't want to get on my Bishop Don Magic Wand on, but did you swipe some customers from somebody when you start going hard? And how is that? I mean, how is that when it's probably you just going harder? So
you know, it's interesting because it happens, because it's funny that that did happen, right? But it happened to me too. Like, you know what I'm saying? My son get out, he cold with it, right? And so some of the younger guys, you know, once he solidified himself as that guy, you know, with the younger crowd, you know, it happened. And, you know, you get some barbers, man, who are in their feelings. You know what I mean? But for me, all it did is make me step up my game and go harder. And I told my son from the gate when he got in the barbershop, I said, understand this, man. You're going to have a crowd who wants the coldest of everything. You know what I mean? The coldest barber in town. At one time, that was important to us, right? But as you get older, you know what I mean? And depending on how you live your life, most people work. So being dependable, being prompt, customer service, all those are the things that are going to put you on top. So not only for me, from a skill standpoint, but like I said, bringing that quote unquote corporate experience in. So yeah, it was like that. And nobody, ever threw any shade or anything, you know what I'm saying? You know, I went through it. It ain't necessarily, you know, a good feeling, like, man, you know, but at the same time, you know, I'm one of those guys, like when I coach, look in the mirror, we lose, what could I have done different? I can't put it on my players. So what could I do different, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that I can continue to retain clientele? And I think that's important to look in the mirror. So yeah, it's a part of the game. Yeah.
So shout out to Quentin Richardson, Darius Miles, they podcast. I forget what it's called. Damn, I hate to shout out somebody. Is it the Knuckleheads?
I'm gonna have to check it out.
But so every time they have a guest, Darius Miles always first question to any guest is, who was the first person that bust your ass? So my question to you is, what's the difference between? Well, it's going to be a two-part question. When was the last time you fucked somebody's hair up? And when was the last time? And what's the difference between you knowing in your mind, damn, I may have jacked somebody's head up, or, you know, he just may not have been happy, you know what I'm saying, with the cut, you know.
You know,
how do you deal with the, you know?
To be honest, humbly, I can't tell you the last time, to be honest, just because, you know, repetition makes you better. So you start to learn, even if there's something that you've done wrong, you go into it wrong. After doing it for so long, you know how to come back and clean that up. So, you know, humbly, I can't remember the last time.
Okay.
I don't take it lightly. People are trusting me in their head. And so, that's the reason for, following the people I follow, drawing inspiration, watching techniques, because that's the thing, man. It's a lot of barbers, that don't follow that. But, you hit some of these barbers who are top-notch barbers, and they're giving the gems and tools. You know what I mean? And barbering is like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get. You know what I mean? And so for me, just watching little things, the enhancements, techniques, certain skills for me, though, so now I'm kind of, I'm not all the way where I want to be, but I've hit a comfortable stride for myself. And those guys who have built notable names, I'm building that notable name. I've built it in my community and trying to, stretch it, elsewhere with the apparel, as we do this podcast to provide platforms and just, and become recognized and respected. I don't have to be the best, but again, when you sit in my chair, you're gonna leave here with a smile on your face.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I can attest to that.
And just as a client, if I jack up your head, I don't want your money. You know what I'm saying? That's just being real. Because if I sit in somebody's chair, you know what I mean? I'm waiting for you to get me right, and I leave not happy. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't come with a price tag. Just my opinion.
All right. Okay. I don't think we're gonna go too much longer for the first episode.
No
I don't want to. But I do want to get back to the. Can you reach a ceiling here? That's an honest question, and we've had conversations off wax,
Right.
and I've seen your growth. And I think everybody has seen your growth, and like I want that to be an open-ended question. I just don't want that to be
Right.
I want you to talk about what you charge, what you can. You don't have to say what you charge.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But like you said, you've been to Bronner Brothers. You follow celebrity barbers. I'm using air quotes again. I follow these same guys, and I mean, it's an experience that right now I just don't think shops in our town can provide. So therefore, can you reach your ceiling?
For me, it's interesting because I was in Atlanta, last week. And again, shout out to Yusuf, man. He's been, as crazy as it sounds, Yusuf is younger than me, and he provides it. He's been a mentor.
He show love.
He shows love, man. We don't talk often, but we do associate. We do talk sometimes. Like I said, man, I reached out to him, got an appointment, had some good combo, and the possibility of relocating, to Atlanta, and doing my thing there, and that's been part of the reason, because you question, can you reach a ceiling? But on the backside, what I also realized, because I don't like where we are as a whole in terms of the industry in our town, but also it's something I had to recognize after my trip there, is that I have a blank canvas. I can create something or be a part of creating something that's not here. You see what I'm saying? And, when I went to Bronner Brothers, that was one thing, because we talked about the cost. And so Yusuf had a class and he was talking about the cost. And I said, man, explain to me. I live in a small community. Explain to me how, in terms of charging and getting premium rates. He said, man, let me first tell you this. People pay for what they want. Case in point, when they release Jordans, we're 132 miles south of Chicago. They don't make them cheaper in Champaign than they do Chicago. You pay for what you want. So if I'm providing a premium service, I'm dependable, the quality is there, you can get in, I'm going to be there every day, it's worth the ticket, right? also being able to stretch services, man. There's a lot of barbers in the game now that are inspiring me. You know, you go to Yusuf, you go to Smash, Andy Authentic, you go to Mickey the barber, you know. She's just opened up a storefront for men's hair products. You know, you got hair pieces. You know, you can go in bald head, bald face, and come out with a beard and waves.
Get her on, because I need to highlight her.
You know what I'm saying? So the fact of the matter is that that's the beautiful thing about the industry. There's no ceiling. It took me traveling and going there, sitting, having a talk with Yusuf, and realizing, and you know what I mean? While we're talking, he was like, man, believe it or not, man, you know, and he offered me a spot at his shop. You know what I mean? You come here, you can cut, man. I've watched your work. You definitely can come here and you can get down, and sky's the limit. Is depending on how hard you're willing to grind. But you have to understand the same problems that exist where you at exists where I'm at. You know what I mean? So, you know, and what I was thinking about earlier, where I was saying they could cut under your license, apprenticeships. So you got apprenticeships, but you have unlicensed barbers there just like you do here and everywhere else. So for me, I think, you know, and everything is not set in stone, but me and my wife talk, there's a blank canvas. You know what I mean? I have a forward thinking mind. I'm putting myself, you know, in the company of those and following, and I'm being inspired by those who are doing great things. You know, Smash the Legend, check his IG, I Dude on Fire. And I think the real legacy ultimately is measured for a barber now by, can you make money when you're not standing behind the chair? My goal is to make money while I'm asleep. That's my goal. So that can be done anywhere. So even though I'm in Champaign and small, I'm not gonna give myself a ceiling. You know, just like coming to you with the podcast, man. We gonna think outside the box, because the biggest thing I realized, man, it don't matter. I can go here, I can go there, but when you got when you have a tight knit circle, when you got people that you know the pros and you know the cons, you can't build an empire by yourself. It takes a team. You know, so even as I do the apparel, as I do, you know, everybody that I got love for, I want to see eat. Everybody just got to be hungry enough to want to eat, to fix their own plate. You know what I mean? And so it's a blank canvas. There's things that can be done here that we aren't doing here. And so I don't even think that I've come close to reaching my ceiling. I went up on my haircuts thinking, okay, you know, kind of the, you know, based on going to the hair shows and the classes. I went to a class that was taught by, I was in Chicago last January. It was Hawk, you know, who's an amazing barber. Los Cut It out of Chicago, amazing barber. Super silly with the designs. I mean, can cut all around, but super silly. You know, look him up on IG. And DG Cuts. She's out of Massachusetts. All of them are part of the Bablis team, right? And they taught a class, and it was the same exact verbiage as Yusuf. Like, man, you raise your prices, you're going to understand. You expect to lose a certain amount of clientele. But when you lose that clientele, those who stay with you, that price increase will make up for what you lost. And then once you add to it, you're ahead of the game. So I cut down my price. I mean, I went up on my prices thinking that it would cut some of the clientele. It didn't cut. Not only did it not cut, nobody left me. It increased. You know what I mean? So now I know it's like I can go somewhere and I can hustle like I'm 25 to build that up. Or I can take advantage of what I've worked hard to build where I'm at, because you can always hop on a plane, you know what I mean, and go cut. Like, it was crazy. Right before I went to Atlanta, Yusuf is you know, he cuts Chance the Rapper's hair. I'm on his story. My brother flies to Chicago from Atlanta. Now, granted, it's only an hour and a half flight. He flies there that day and flies back there the same day on a Friday, and then puts on his story, I'll be here to take care of my appointments on Saturday. you know what I mean? So with them friendly skies, anything is possible. So I want to be able to expand, and I also want to be able to work with different barbers in different areas. I'm a forward thinker. You know what I'm saying? I got some ideas, but also I want to work with my people. You know what I mean? Watching other people blow. You know what I'm saying? And they're doing good things, and it's just inspiring me to think outside the box and do my own thing. And like I said, my goal is to never work for nobody else again. You know what I mean? And so if I'm going to do that, then I can't even think that there's a ceiling. And that's the beautiful thing about the industry and all the evolution within the industry. I know my uncle and, Lum Rose and Joe Taylor, who's still living. I know that they couldn't see the vision and the evolution to where the game is at now. And you'll have some barber, I don't like the enhancements. I ain't knocking nobody, but it's like Burger King, bro. Have it your way. I can't tell you what you want. I just have to be versed enough to give you what you want, what you need. You know what I mean? I can't look at you and say, man, I need some enhancements on the beard. Who am I to tell you can't have enhancements on your beard? I just have to be well versed enough to give it to you. And that's what a ticket is. And as long as I'm growing, long as I'm learning, long as I'm being inspired and I can inspire, that's what this is all about. So we're going to come here and we're going to provide this platform, you know what I mean, for the industry as a whole and just the people, because without clients, there are no barbers.
Yeah, that's true. And I may say this and be controversial. If you ain't got no damn license, it's only so you got a ceiling, goddammit. That's all I'm gonna say. You want to charge premium price? Go get your damn license. But no, I'm just fucking with y'all. If you
I can't agree. I can't agree more, because one thing that I've noticed, once you start following people and you start seeing them, education is big in the industry. Like when you see these cats on here, they ain't just cutting. They're well versed. They when they're providing these classes, they're providing education. You know what I mean? And it takes education to grow in everything. The difference with this game, for me, I enjoy learning about, right? This is my art. That's my canvas. I learn to love about. You know what I mean? And so, but when you look at it, and these guys work hard, they're going to get their license. And then the great thing about it, like being a barber in Illinois, if I want to go to Georgia, there's a thing called reciprocity. And so certain states accept you, depending on your background, you know what I mean? In how well, you've done as a barber in terms of your file in that state. You can earn reciprocity in another state. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're just getting a license. And in Illinois, you're talking about every 2 years, $50 to renew your license every 2 years, man. And that's it. And that's something no one can take away from me. So, now, I understand on the back end, though, we don't have a barber school here, right? But when you want something, you just got to grind it out and go get it. We got them in Bloomington. We got them in Decatur. Man, go get your license, because that's something nobody can ever take from you. To me, it's like, and I tell people, and sometimes people get mad, but I'm calling a spade a spade. You want to charge premium prices, but to me, it's like a shade tree mechanic. I'm not going to give you the same amount of money that I would give the mechanics at the dealership when you don't have the paperwork behind it. You can't assure me anything. If you do something, you not only mess up my head, if dirty clippers and you give me a rash, I can't come back and sue you. I have no grounds. If a dealership messes up my car and they don't do right by my car, there's a paper trail I can go back to them. And so I think it's important, and I feel you're all joking, but it is important to have your paperwork. That's of the utmost importance. That's what being professional is, bro. So I wholeheartedly stick to that.
For sure. All right, good. All right, so I Cut My Way Out podcast. minute 19, 30, going on a minute 20. Anything else you want to add? I mean,
Man,
I got so many episode ideas just from
that's it.
from hearing you talk. Just
Yeah. We just going we're gonna keep moving it up. We had to come in, and tell our story and why we are here. But at this point, moving forward, man, we want to open it up to the industry, and we want that support and love, because we're all one. You know what I mean? It has to keep evolving, and we got to create opportunities. We got to create platforms, and we got to bring these young barbers, up to speed and inspire them as well. You know what I mean? Because I read something, and it was interesting. Let me see if I can find it. And this is the last thing that I'm gonna say. That's on. It was on IG, right? And it's shout out to Marvy Marv, right? He put up a post, and it said, there's no money in barbering. He said 10 haircuts a day at 40 a cut equals $400 a day. 5 days a week, $2,000 a week. 52 weeks in a year, $104,000. That's very doable. You feel me?
Yeah.
You feel me? That's very doable. And he had just posted that prior to us pulling up to come in here and do the podcast. So the last point is that don't do it for the money. Like, I love this whole podcast thing because, man, we're just chilling on a Sunday, and we do it for free. We no expectations. Whatever happened from this thing happens from this thing. But we're enjoying ourselves the same way. We don't rock with basketball. We don't rock with fashion. We just here. We having a good time, and we enjoying ourselves.
All right.
And we're trying to provide something and provide a platform. But it's something there, and it's something to be said about this industry and this game of barbering, man. And all I can say is let's get it and move it forward.
All right. Hey, that's it, man. Again, I cut my way out the podcast. It's going to be available everywhere where you can listen to your podcast, most notably Apple Podcasts. We know 90% of podcast listeners consume there. Spotify. If everywhere where you can listen, if it's once it comes out and it's not on your preferred platform, let us know. We working. We're gonna work to get it anywhere. Pandora. It's gonna be everywhere. So
and we tagging you barbers in the game, made barbers, up and coming barbers. We're gonna get on your nerve, man. We're gonna get you on this train, man, to inspire others, because I think to who much is given, much is expected. No doubt.
And I cut my way out. Episode 1. How you feeling?
Man, I'm good.
All right, man. So we got something, man. I think we got something.
Right. Absolutely, I'm good.
All right, man. We it's episode 1. I just leave us with
one more thing.
Okay.
We ain't trying to be political, but man, in this era, the things that we're going through right now, it is of the utmost importance to go out and vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for. That is not my job. That is not my responsibility. But go out and vote.
Yeah, and do your research on some of the local elections. Yet, not just the federal stuff. You know what I'm saying? Do your research on the local, because as small business owners, as self-employed individuals such as yourself and myself, as time goes on, maybe I'll get more into me, even though it's not as a barber, but those local elections, a lot of those people that are, not bringing charges on people that's asleep and getting killed, those are elected officials.
Absolutely.
So thank you for giving a parting shot to go vote. All you doing is circle in a box. You know what I'm saying? Don't let them, don't let nobody tell you that, it don't matter or, whatever. But just circle them boxes and go on about your day. Go get on back to the money. But I cut my way out episode everywhere where you can listen to your podcast. I'm at Kenneth Jinks. My guy, go ahead and
A Knox, the barber. A Knox Beard Culture, Ashra Knox. That's who I am.
All
Thank
right.
you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Much love.
Episode 1 in the books.
Put some respect on my name.
Absolutely.
Peace, y'all. Peace.